In this screencast, I'm going to go over some of the basic formatting expectations for an APA list of references. And one of the most useful websites that I've been told about for looking at the formatting is actually posted to your course resources board. And it's this first one here from Trinity College. And that's the one that looks like this. Why I like this one is these style sheets here show you exactly what it should look like, and they label everything for you. And as far as I know, this is the most updated version that is in use for the APA. The one that you'll probably be using the most is a journal article from a library database, especially if you are looking at scholarly articles. Otherwise, you're probably going to be mostly looking at things like web publications, maybe a newspaper article from either a database or from a website. And when you look at one of these items, you'll see that it labels all of the elements. It shows you what the elements correspond to when you're looking for this information on the database and in your title and that sort of thing. And then it also gives you a visual representation of what your item should look like. So the bibliographic reference that goes into your references list, and then your in-text citation that goes into your piece of writing or your work or whatever it is. Another way, an alternative way to introduce while still citing and making it clear who you're citing, and also some other alternative ways of citing. So that's a very useful source. Now, what does this look like in practice when you are creating your references list? So I've just taken an example of some student work. Let's say this is her essay up here. So her essay ends, or the portion of the essay that I've gotten ends, and you need to make sure that your references list starts on its own page. And how you do that in Word is you go and you insert a page break at the end of the essay. And that creates a new page for your references list, and it should be called, oops, typo, should be called references, and the title should be centered. You don't need to bold it or put an underline or colon or anything, just references is fine. Now you'll notice that these references are listed alphabetically, usually by the author's last name, but when you have no author, you would use the title. Alternatively, you can use the organization's name, so this might be Government of Ontario, for example. Your reference should never start with a date. There should always be either an author or a title that can be quickly referenced within your in-text citations. So these are alphabetically ordered. Now you'll also notice that at the moment, all of these entries are aligned on the left-hand side. That makes it a little bit difficult to pull out those first words, particularly things like authors, and see them more clearly. So what you want to do instead is you want to create a hanging indent. And the fastest way to do that is simply to highlight everything that's on your references page. And then go up to this ruler here. If the ruler isn't showing, then you want to go to your view and you want to make sure that you have your ruler showing. And then once you go up to your ruler, find the little arrow that when you hover over it creates that hanging indent tag. You're going to grab that and you're going to pull it in 5 marker points. Notice how, like magic, it creates a hanging indent for your entire references page. Now you should also space all of your references 1.5 or double spaced. When you do that, you don't need to have extra spaces in between your entries. So notice how nicely it makes available that important word on the left-hand side to make it easy on the eye finding that. For my purposes, it's really helpful if you have these URLs created into actual hyperlinks, so that I can just click on them and find the item that I need to find online. In the absence of that, you have your DOI, which is the marker that you find when you find it on a database information. So that is what your references list should look like when it's done. Now, if you're working in Google Documents, you can do the same things. So for example, here at the end of the essay, I can create a break. And that starts a new page for my list of references, which I center. The hanging indent is a little bit different. Up here on the ruler, you're going to have to pull everything over. Oops. and then pull the first line back. But it's the quickest way to do it, just as it was on the other Word document version. And then again, you can do your spacing, and you can just remove the extra spaces in between entries, just like that. And that is your list of references, and that's what a list of references should look like on the screen.